right onto my girlfriend's tongue. Someone had actually surgically implanted a tracking microchip. Even though she tried desperately to hide it from me, I still managed to discover her dirty little secret. So, while she was fast asleep, I stealthily extracted that microchip and brought it straight to my lab to decrypt its hidden data. But to my absolute shock, it didn't just contain extremely intimate photos of her, along with her 3 best friends and another man, but also a sinister plot to throw me into prison, just so they could seize my family's entire fortune. I immediately sent those videos and photos directly to all the wealthy, elite boyfriends of her 3 best friends, starting with Shui Qinghuan. In the photos, the 4 of them wore nothing but tiny bikinis, submissively kneeling around a single man. Their eyes were completely filled with total devotion, while the man, wearing only a pair of black trousers, had a smug, incredibly arrogant smirk on his face, staring down at the 4 women around him, as if they were nothing more than his personal playthings. Not even 10 minutes after I sent those photos to the boyfriends of her tight-knit clique, my phone absolutely blew up with a barrage of notifications. I unlocked the screen to take a look. Shui Qinghuan's 3 best friends were bombarding me with angry messages. Qiang Wei, Qi Huaisu. Are you out of your damn mind? So what if I helped Mu Yu shoot an artistic photo shoot? Why the hell did you have to run and tattle to my boyfriend? You've got a mouth bigger than a gossiping housewife. Bai Ling, Qi Huaizhou. You absolute piece of trash. What did I ever do to cross you? Why did you send that stuff to my boyfriend? If you're that bored, go crawl into a hole and die. Lili, Im Bistud. You really love sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, don't you? Did I ruin your family's grave, or something? I hope you and your entire family get run over by a truck. Staring at the wave of foul, toxic insults from the 3 of them, I opened the chat box, ready to fire back and put them in their place, when Shui Qinghuan suddenly called me. I pressed answer, and her furious, screeching voice instantly echoed from the other end of the line. Qi Huaizhou, what kind of psycho episode are you having in the middle of the night? Because of your pathetic, petty gossiping, my best friend's boyfriends are throwing massive tantrums and demanding explanations. Is your mind seriously that warped and twisted? Right now, Mu Yu is feeling incredibly guilty and blaming himself. I don't care what kind of petty game you're trying to play. You better crawl over here and apologize to Mu Yu this instant. Otherwise, don't you ever expect me to look at you again. I actually burst out laughing from sheer absurdity. Huh? Mu Yu is blaming himself? Oh, how tragic for him. He must be so incredibly innocent. Shui Qinghuan continued to screech at me like a machine gun. Stop talking nonsense. If you hadn't gone gossiping to those wealthy guys, I wouldn't have to lose my temper with you right now. I've clearly spoiled you too much, and now you're becoming completely unreasonable. I sneered, oh really? So when he was feeling so guilty, did he also make you girls wear those skimpy bikinis while servicing him at the beach? Shui Qinghuan's voice suddenly faltered, losing its confident edge. Qi Huaizhou, stop picking fights over absolutely nothing. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I immediately took a screenshot of the photo Mu you had secretly posted online and sent it directly to her chat. Is that so, Shui Qinghuan? The 4 of you wearing next to nothing while crowding around him. You must have had an absolute blast, didn't you? The moment Shui Qinghuan saw the image, she instantly hung up the phone. She probably never anticipated in her wildest dreams that Mu Yu would be stupid enough to secretly post that photo on social media. And she certainly didn't expect that I would capture the evidence, screenshot his post, and send it straight to the boyfriends of her 3 best friends. Seeing that she had hung up on me, I fired off a text message to her. Why did you hang up so fast? Why aren't you screaming at me anymore? The status showed typing, but no message ever came through. Since she wanted to play dead, I decided to post the screenshot, along with the chat history, of Jiang Ren hurling vile insults at me directly onto my public feed, captioning the status. Even with no one by my side, I still want to wish myself a very happy birthday. It was already past midnight. My actual birthday had technically come and gone, but my feed instantly erupted into chaos because of that single post. My friends rushed to the post in droves, bombarding it with likes and shock comments. Shui Qinghuan blew off your birthday, just to go serve some random guy. Huaizhou, you've seriously been dating trash. Bro, calm down. If she won't throw you a party, the boys will throw you the wildest celebration ever. Shui Qinghuan always acts so pure and innocent in public, though. Who would have thought she was living such a wild, double life? This is straight up a massive, scandalous betrayal. Exactly 10 minutes after my post went live, Jiang Ren's high society boyfriend entered the comment section. He attached the exact same scandalous screenshot and publicly dumped her right then and there. If Jiang Ren can wear next to nothing in photos, with a random guy today, she'll cheat on me tomorrow. Trash belongs in the dumpster. And I'm officially out. My feed, which was already highly chaotic, instantly descended into absolute madness. After her boyfriend's public execution of their relationship, within a mere 5 minutes, the comment left by Jiang Ren's wealthy ex had already racked up over 100 supportive likes. Even though the situation had reached a boiling point, Shui Qinghuan still played dead, refusing to make a sound. But I'm not some pathetic, submissive main character from a trashy romance novel. I take immediate, cold, and calculated action. That very same night, I sent those exact screenshots straight to Shui Qinghuan's wealthy parents. And just like that, Shui Qinghuan was finally forced to poke her head out of her cowardly shell and face the music. Early the following morning, Shui Qinghuan's mother frantically called my phone. "Huaizhou, dear, could you please come over for a moment? Your uncle and I saw that scandalous photo, but there simply must be some sort of misunderstanding. Please come over so we can talk this through and clear the air. After all, the two of you have been together for so many years, and your wedding is right around the corner. Why blow things so completely out of proportion?" My voice was cold and steady. "Annie, you saw the photo. I assure you, there is absolutely no misunderstanding. How deeply I've cared for Qinghuan all these years is something you've witnessed firsthand. I loved her, but that doesn't give her the right to weaponize my devotion and humiliate me over and over again. However, out of pure respect for you and Uncle, I will come over to settle this." Hanging up the phone, I drove directly to the Shui family's luxury estate. Shui Qinghuan's parents were already waiting anxiously at the entrance. Meanwhile, Shui Qinghuan stood behind them, looking like a pathetic, thoroughly beaten dog, hiding in their shadows. The moment I stepped out and shut my car door, a black luxury sports car suddenly roared from around the corner, speeding directly toward me. Seeing that the runaway car was on a direct collision course to crush me, Shui Qinghuan suddenly lunged forward, violently throwing her body to push me out of the way. "Huaizhou, look out!" I crashed hard onto the concrete, tumbling sideways, only to watch in horror as Shui Qinghuan was brutally launched into the air by the impact. The mysterious black sports car immediately sped off, fleeing the scene. Shui Qinghuan was rushed straight to the emergency room. She had selflessly shoved me out of harm's way at the absolute last second, taking the devastating brunt of that black vehicle's impact herself. Both of her legs were severely fractured, though miraculously, the doctors confirmed her life was not in danger. Staring down at her broken form lying in the hospital bed, with both of her legs completely encased in heavy plaster casts, my expression remained entirely cold and detached. Had I seen her suffering such horrific injuries just yesterday, knowing she had nearly sacrificed her life to protect me, I would have been consumed by a suffocating wave of guilt and agonizing regret. If I were still that naive, lovesick fool from before, my heart would be shattering into a million bleeding pieces, wishing with every fiber of my being that I could bear this agonizing pain in her stead. But now, I merely felt incredibly relieved that her split-second decision left me with nothing more than a couple of minor, superficial scrapes. Shui Qinghuan, barely out of surgery, was still in an extremely fragile state, her face completely devoid of color. Her weak, fluttering gaze slowly drifted toward me, clinging to a faint, desperate shred of hope. "Huaizhou, I am so glad. You're safe." I completely ignored her emotional play. "Shui Qinghuan, do you have any actual clue what yesterday was?" Her weak tone instantly flared with a familiar touch of irritation. "Qi Huaizhou, I am severely injured right now. I took a hit from a speeding car for you. Can't you see that? I am in this pathetic state because of you. If I hadn't thrown myself in front of that car, you would be the one lying in this hospital bed right now. How can you be so utterly heartless? How can you stand there, harping on some stupid, meaningless birthday at a time like this? You are being incredibly, unbelievably selfish." Her mother, standing sentinel by the bedside, chimed in with deep disapproval. Exactly, Huaizhou. Qinghuan threw herself in harm's way just to shield you. She is literally your savior. She is your soon-to-be wife. How can you possibly find it in your heart to speak to her with such coldness? I kept my gaze locked onto Shui, Qinghuan's pale face on the pillow. Answer my question. What was yesterday? Shui, Qinghuan's defiance instantly deflated like a popped balloon. Fine. Yesterday was your birthday, okay? Qi Huaizhou, I missed one single, stupid birthday celebration with you. Do you really have to hold on to this pathetic grudge forever? I promise you. Next year, I will absolutely spend your birthday with you. Is that enough to satisfy you? I let out a cold, mocking chuckle. Really? Then let me ask you about last year, the year before, and even the year before that. For 3 consecutive years, on my actual birthday. What exactly were you doing? Shui Qinghuan stammered, completely unable to utter a coherent response. Seeing her tongue-tied, I graciously helped refresh her memory. Last year, Muyu whined that he wanted someone to watch the sunset with him. So you squeezed into a tight yoga outfit and spent the entire day hiking up a mountain with him, leaving me stranded alone at a fine dining restaurant until the staff kicked me out at closing time. The year before that, you promised you would celebrate with me. But the moment I had the luxury yacht fully booked and ready, you ditched me to help Muyu pack and move his apartment. You even drove off with my personal car, leaving me completely stranded at the dock. And 3 years ago, when Muyu returned to the country, you and your clique booked out the entire penthouse of my 5-star hotel to throw him a wild, non-stop homecoming party for a whole week. Not only did you completely erase my birthday from your mind, but to this very day, none of you have paid a single cent for that hotel bill. The deficit of over 1 million yuan was entirely covered out of my own personal pocket. As for this year's absolute disaster, I don't even want to bring it up. You dressed up in next to nothing, posing for those provocative, intimate photos with him. If I were to shoot those exact same photos with another woman, how would you honestly feel? Shui Qinghuan's eyes instantly flared with defensive rage. Qi Huaizhou, watch your disgusting mouth. Mu Iwas Photoshop was a high art project meant to capture life's most beautiful, raw moments. It was pure, unadulterated creativity. Art is all about pursuing natural, unfiltered beauty. He dressed down like that, solely to establish a deeper, spiritual connection with his own body, shattering outdated, conservative social taboos. If your mind is too simple to comprehend high art, then keep your mouth shut. She shot me a look of pure, unbridled contempt. I made a selfless sacrifice for the sake of true art, and yet you look at it with nothing but disgust. That doesn't just prove you have absolutely zero artistic sensibility, but it shows your own mind is incredibly filthy and corrupted. That's why you are completely incapable of appreciating other people's brilliance. I nodded slowly. You make an incredibly compelling point. So when my own girlfriend ditches my birthday, I should just be a generous, submissive saint and mindlessly support her pursuit of art without a single complaint, right? Is that truly the garbage logic you're spinning right now? Shui Qinghuan got even more defensive. Exactly. It was just a birthday. If we missed it this year, we always have next year. But Muyu's precious youth, once it slips away, it is gone forever. He simply wanted to immortalize his absolute prime. And as his closest friend, I only wanted to help him achieve his lifelong dream. How on earth is any of that wrong? I nodded in mock agreement. You know what? You're absolutely right. Since you are so incredibly dedicated to sacrificing yourself for art, I will no longer stand in your way. We are officially over. Let's break up. Hearing me drop the breakup bomb, Shui Qinghuan's smug facade instantly crumbled into panic. Break up? You're throwing a massive tantrum and demanding a breakup over such a trivial matter. Qi Huaizhou, you have completely lost your mind. Muyu is all alone, and I only stepped up as a supportive friend. What did I do wrong? Can you please stop being so incredibly childish and absurd? I am literally lying in a hospital bed, shattered and broken because of you, and yet you're still sitting here holding a petty grudge. I let out a heavy, exhausted sigh. Fine. Since you are so convinced I'm a villain here, I have absolutely nothing left to say. Take good care of your broken legs. Goodbye. With that, I turned around, preparing to walk out. Her father, standing by the bed, could no longer contain his sheer humiliation. He lunged forward and delivered a stinging slap right across Shui Qinghuan's face. Shui Qinghuan was completely stunned, holding her burning cheek. "Dad, why did you just hit me?" Her mother frantically shoved her husband away, throwing her body over her daughter to shield her. "Have you lost your damn mind? Why are you hitting our injured child out of nowhere?" Her father roared in pure rage. "I slap her because she absolutely deserved it. She is literally about to get married, yet she's still fooling around and behaving indecently with some random bastard. Does she not deserve to be beaten? If she hadn't run off to fool around with that pathetic loser, would she have ever been hit by a car and ended up in this miserable state? She brought this entirely on herself. She got exactly what she deserved." He turned back to me, his eyes filled with immense guilt. "Huaizhou, please don't be angry with our family. I will personally discipline this shameless girl to make things right and give you justice. I give you my absolute word as a man. Nothing like this scandalous behavior will ever happen again." I calmly raised my hand, cutting him off mid-sentence. "There is no need for any family discipline. If you want my forgiveness, I will grant it on one single condition." Shui Qinghuan's eyes instantly lit up with desperate hope. "What condition? Tell me, and I swear I will do whatever you ask." I stared directly into her panicked eyes. "Call the police and report the hit and run. You will formally sue the driver for attempted murder." Hearing my demand to involve the authorities, she nearly leapt clean off the hospital bed in sheer panic. "No, absolutely not. Jiangren didn't mean to hit me. It was just an accidental slip of her hand that caused my injuries. She's my absolute best friend in the world. If I turn around and sue her, how could we ever look each other in the eye again? No, I absolutely refuse to do it." I had zero intention of wasting any more breath on her excuses. I turned on my heel to leave, but before stepping out, I paused right at the threshold of the hospital room. "From this very second onward, that trashy little clique of yours can completely forget about squeezing another cent out of the Qi group. Shui Qinghuan, since you value a criminal who tried to murder your fiancée over my life, I will gladly handle this matter my own way." The moment I stepped out of the hospital lobby, I ran straight into Mu Yu, who was rushing inside. Seeing me, his face instantly contorted into a smug, mocking sneer. "I heard Qinghuan was hospitalized. I'm here to check on her, but surely you won't throw a petty tantrum about that, right?" I gave him a cold, indifferent sidelong glance. "Not at all. I've already dumped her. So visit her all you want. Hell, you can jump straight into bed with her, for all I care." With that, I tried to brush past him, but he aggressively threw out his arm to block my path. "Qi Huaizhou, don't think having a bit of pocket change makes you a big shot. What's the use of all your wealth anyway?" Shui Qinghuan still crawls back to me like a loyal dog, begging me not to leave. Don't flatter yourself by thinking she actually loves you. She's just reached the age where she's expected to settle down. And for the sake of her family's failing company, she forced herself to tolerate being with you. To her, you are nothing but a boring, useful tool. Those are the exact words she whispered to me herself. Do you honestly think she feels any joy being by your side? Whenever she's with me, she doesn't even utter a single syllable about you. Whether she's blackout drunk or dreaming, she only moans my name. His eyes gleamed with a sickening, venomous malice. And it's not just Shui Qinghuan. Even Jiang Ren and the others will come crawling the second I snap my fingers. I can order them to do absolutely anything, and they will obey without question. I instantly caught the dark undertone buried in his words. "So, Jiang Ren attempting to run me over with her car was your idea too?" His face flushed with arrogant, untouchable pride. "Oomph, I never said any such thing. You silver-spooned, trust fund babies who were born at the finish line don't have the slightest clue what a woman truly desires. That's exactly why you can never hold on to the hearts of the women supposedly yours. I absolutely despise the arrogant, high-end mighty attitudes of you wealthy bastards. I take immense pleasure in stealing your women right from under your noses, humiliating you with a massive crown of green horns. As long as you guys are suffering, I'm in absolute paradise." I nodded slowly, then shifted my gaze to the space behind him. "You guys heard all of that, right?" Mu Yu whipped his head around, only to find three menacing high society heirs standing directly behind him with thunderous expressions. The man leading the pack was none other than Jiang Ren's furious ex-boyfriend. "So you're the pathetic loser, Mu Yu? Quite the bold mouth you've got there. Has playing community property with our girls completely rotted your brain? Muyu stared at me, his eyes wide with utter disbelief. Did you set this up? I offered him a highly suggestive, cold smirk. Bingo. I was actually waiting for them to arrive. Who did you think you were waiting for? Ah, I forgot to mention, each of these three men owns a family empire worth billions of yuan. Are you ready to experience the full, unrestrained force of their wrath? Muyu was instantly cornered against the wall by the three imposing men. What do you think you're doing? I'm warning you guys, if you dare lay a single finger on me, your girlfriends will never, ever forgive you. I'm telling you, don't you dare mess with me. I've had a head injury before. I am legally insane. Oh, please. As if you're the only one with a damaged brain here. If my head was screwed on straight, I would have never dated that trash Jiang Run. Why waste our breath talking to this cockroach? Jiang Ren's ex-boyfriend violently grabbed Muyu by his collar, eliciting a sharp, pathetic shriek from the boy. The other two wealthy heirs didn't waste any time either, lunging forward and savagely ripping his trendy clothes to shreds. I'll teach you to humiliate me by messing with my girl. I'll show you what happens when you act like a smug bastard in front of me. Today, I'm personally ruining your manhood, so we can see how you plan on seducing other men's women ever again. In the blind spot right outside the hospital entrance, the three enraged men unleashed a relentless, brutal beatdown on Muyu, causing him to scream and wail in agonizing pain. Unable to endure the savage pummeling, he desperately broke through their defensive line, attempting to flee. As he bolted past me in a frantic life-or-death sprint, I casually extended my foot and tripped him up. He face-planted hard, tumbling violently down the stone stairs and onto the pavement. Muyu let out a miserable, blood-curdling shriek of pain, tightly wrapping both arms around his head and curling up like a boiled shrimp. While desperately enduring the savage blows, he pathetically begged for mercy. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I swear I will never do this again. Please, I beg you, stop hitting me. The crowd of onlookers quickly grew larger by the second, yet not a single soul stepped forward to help him or call the police. Among the spectators enjoying the free drama, there were even frequent bursts of cheering and enthusiastic applause for a twisted, manipulative piece of trash like him. The crowd had absolutely no shortage of mockery and celebratory jeers. Having had my fill of the entertainment, I turned to make my exit, only to spot Bai Ling, Li Li, and Jiang Run, the very woman who tried to run me down this morning, rushing frantically toward the scene. The three women desperately threw themselves into the fray, trying to pull the four enraged men away. Unfortunately for them, the sight of his cheating ex-girlfriend only served to send Jiang Ren's wealthy ex into an even greater frenzy. He delivered a thunderous, bone-shattering slap directly to Jiang Ren's face, instantly giving her a swollen, blackened eye on the spot. The three frantic women bore the brunt of the raw, unfiltered fury of their current and former partners, struggling tooth and nail to drag a battered, bloody Muyu out of the danger zone. Like a squad of brainwashed, self-sacrificing warriors, they shielded the bruised and whimpering Muyu behind their bodies. Li Li, easily the most hot-tempered and reckless of the bunch, saw that the three wealthy heirs refused to back down. She swung her hand and struck her own boyfriend squarely across the bridge of his nose, a sharp crack echoing as blood instantly gushed from his nostrils. The moment the blow landed, she froze, suddenly realizing what she had done. Her family's business had been facing severe financial ruin for the past 2 years, relying entirely on her boyfriend's family throwing them lucrative market shares just to keep their company afloat. This boyfriend was far more than just a romantic partner to her. He was the literal financial lifeline, keeping her family from bankruptcy. Realizing she had just committed financial suicide, Lily dropped to her knees in absolute terror. Baby, are you okay? I didn't mean to hit you, I swear. I wasn't looking where I was swinging. Let me take you inside to get patched up right now. She was trembling so violently she looked ready to pass out, reaching out a shaking hand to grab her boyfriend's arm, when someone suddenly tugged her back. She spun around to find Muyu weakly clutching her hand, his other hand desperately cupping his bleeding groin. Lily, I think my manhood is completely ruptured. He whimpered her name in such a pathetic, high-pitched whine that even I, as a man, felt a wave of second-hand embarrassment. let alone a completely brainless simp like Li Li. Yet, hearing him call her name made Li Li's heart flutter with twisted joy. Without sparing a single glance at her bleeding boyfriend, she sprang to her feet, intending to support Mu Yu into the hospital. Li Li's boyfriend finally hit his absolute breaking point. Pinching his bloody nose, he fiercely blocked her path at the hospital gates. Li Li, if you dare to choose that bastard today, then your entire family will be sleeping under a bridge by tomorrow. Li Li, please don't. Have you caused enough trouble? Can't you see how badly you've injured Mu Yu? You are nothing but a violent brute. Her boyfriend completely snapped. I'm a brute. You sneaked around behind my back to take explicit, intimate photos with this absolute scum, and now you actually have a nerve to scold me. Your entire family is a bunch of worthless parasites. The group stood right outside the hospital entrance, screaming and cursing in a chaotic frenzy. Jiang Run and the other two women fiercely shielded Mu Yu, even dragging me, a completely innocent bystander, into the fray, cursing me out as well. Stop arguing. Shut your mouths. Just as the volatile scene was about to erupt into a full-blown MMA brawl, a deafening shout instantly shattered the mounting tension between the two sides. Several police officers suddenly materialized at the hospital gates. The leading officer, his expression strictly stern, swept his sharp gaze over the chaotic crowd. This is a public hospital, not a playground for you to gather and cause a public disturbance. If you have unsolvable grievances, take them to the station. Causing a massive uproar here disrupts the hospital's order, and you are all actively violating the law. He sternly looked at the surrounding people. Which one of you is Jiangren? Jiangrun, standing nearby, hurriedly raised her hand. That's me. She smugly marched right up to the officers and aggressively pointed her finger straight at me. Officers, this is the exact scumbag who is spreading lies and causing all this trouble. Arrest him right this second. The very moment the words left her mouth, the officer decisively whipped out his handcuffs and clamped them sharply onto her wrists. Jiang Lei, you are officially under suspicion of intentional assault and a hit-and-run incident. We are now summoning you in accordance with the law. Please come with us to the police station. Later, at the police station, the sheer, burning fury blazing in Jiang Ren's eyes looked like it could completely incinerate the entire room. Shui Qinghuan, I treated you like my ultimate ride-or-die sister, and this is how you backstab me. Jiang Ren tightly gripped the receiver, screaming into the phone at Shui Qinghuan on the other end of the line. Now I finally see your true colors, you opportunistic backstabber. I only did that to help you seek vengeance from Mu Yu, and this is how you repay my absolute loyalty. Over the receiver, Shui Qinghuan's voice sounded utterly defeated and helpless. Ren, please don't blame me. I was completely cornered. Qi Huaizhou threatened that if I didn't press charges against you, he would immediately have the Qi group reclaim every single market share they previously allocated to my family's business. That is a financial blow my family simply cannot survive. Besides, now that you've thoroughly offended my fiancé, your family's little logistics company is going to go bankrupt sooner or later anyway. So why not make yourself useful in your final moments and let Qi Huaizhou use you to vent his anger? At least this way, my family's business can be spared. Furthermore, I only casually complained about Qi Huaizhou a few times. I never once ordered you to drive your car and run him down. You made that insane decision entirely on your own. You absolutely cannot pin this massive disaster on my head. In a fit of explosive rage, Jiang Ren violently smashed the phone to pieces on the spot. They were all smiles and sisterhood during the good times. Yet the moment a crisis hit, she was instantly thrown under the bus to take the fall. Deep down, Jiang Ren knew she was completely finished. Her entire family's legacy was ruined. Whether it was offending her fiancé's powerful family, crossing paths with our elite Qi family, or being ruthlessly betrayed by her own best friend, every single path led to utter destruction with absolutely no way out. Meanwhile, Li Li's situation was not looking any better, because she had violently assaulted and injured her wealthy boyfriend. The already struggling Li family was now like a flickering candle in the wind, having lost the crucial financial backing of her elite benefactor. Coupled with my imminent reclamation of all the market shares we had previously yielded to her family's firm, Their impending bankruptcy was bound to be just as catastrophic as Jiang Ren's total ruin. At this point, the only member of their toxic circle who remained relatively unscathed was Bai Ling. Naturally, I decided to graciously pour a massive bucket of gasoline onto their already burning, chaotic lives. After all, shouldn't best friends share the suffering, just as they shared the luxury? In the past, I only tolerated and supported their families' businesses, solely out of respect for Shui Qinghuan. But now that Shui Qinghuan had completely lost all credit with me, there was absolutely no reason to spare these pathetic parasites. The Qi group immediately terminated and reclaimed every single collaborative project previously promised to the Bai family, leaving them stranded with a massive, unsellable inventory. With their primary buyer gone, the harsh reality set in. Business has no room for sentiment. Yet, so many lucrative business deals actually relied entirely on personal relationships to stay afloat. Now that those relationships were utterly dead, the cutthroat nature of the market naturally bared its sharp fangs. Shui Qinghuan's three best friends plunged into absolute, frantic panic. They were spoiled heiresses accustomed to a life of sheer luxury, having never experienced the harsh realities of an average citizen's life, let alone the devastating sting of falling from grace. With Jiangren already locked up in a cold, miserable detention center, Bai Ling and Li Li completely abandoned their so-called sister. Together, the two went to kneel desperately right outside the gates of my villa. President Xi, we know we were completely in the wrong before. We beg you, for the sake of all the years we've known each other, please spare us. Bai Ling was trembling violently, her teeth chattering uncontrollably as she cried out. President Xi, I was an absolute monster before. I deeply wronged you. I beg you, please find it in your heart to forgive me. My father has already laid down the law. If you don't forgive me today, he will completely disown me as his daughter. He has had a secret family on the side for years. And you know about it too. I even have a younger half-brother out there. My father has been looking for an excuse to get rid of me for ages. If you don't forgive me this time, my entire inheritance will fall straight into the hands of that illegitimate brat. Beside her, Li Li's face was deathly pale, making her look like a fragile paper doll. President Xi, please show us some mercy. My family's business really cannot survive this. My boyfriend is demanding a breakup, and his family has already spread the word in the industry that they won't stop until they've utterly ruined us. Just trying to survive the onslaught from my ex-boyfriend's family has forced us to exhaust every single resource we have left. If you refuse to let us off the hook as well, my family will be driven straight into a dead end with no survival. The two became increasingly hysterical as they spoke, eventually bursting into ugly, pathetic wails while groveling on the hard ground, viciously slamming their foreheads against the concrete. They made it look as though, if I didn't stop my retaliation, they would gladly crack their skulls open right in front of me. Back when they saw me dating Shui Qinghuan, watching the massive wealth of the Qi family being generously handed over to the Shui family, these girls' eyes had practically turned green with pure envy. Every single day, they followed Shui Qinghuan around, sucking up to her, while practically dying to reach their hands straight into my pockets. After all, since they were Shui Qinghuan's closest circle, the tiny fraction of market share I threw their way was nothing more than a single drop in the bucket to the massive Qi group. Yet, even the trivial crumbs I casually tossed out were enough to keep them living in absolute luxury and singing my praises. But the moment Mu Yu returned to the country, Shui Qinghuan's heart immediately gravitated entirely toward him, and like a flock of mindless sheep, they all rushed to follow Mu Yu instead. In fact, they even began to view the Qi family's generous support as something they were automatically entitled to, not only bad-mouthing me behind my back, but even publicly humiliating me at every turn. They completely lost themselves in the delusional fantasy that my devotion and loyalty to them would last forever. But now that their beautiful little dream has shattered into pieces, they don't have the courage to face the cold, hard reality. Still desperately clinging to a fantasy they refuse to wake up from. Unfortunately, a dream is just a dream, and reality always demands its toll. Besides, their sudden realization has come far too late. I looked down coldly at the two pathetically groveling on the ground. I suppose I don't have to utterly destroy you. After all, Shui Qinghuan and I shared many years together, and you girls were her absolute best friends. If I act too ruthlessly now, it might not look very good for my public reputation. I wouldn't want to give people any reason to gossip, would I? But as for expecting the Qi group to step in and save you from ruin, I seriously have to question what kind of delusion you're living in. Did you honestly think I wouldn't hold a grudge? After all the malicious, toxic lies you spread about me? Shui Qinghuan is nothing but absolute garbage to me now. What makes you think you irrelevant pests mean anything to me? The faces of both women instantly drained of all color. President Xi, we beg you, for the sake of the long years you spent by Shui Qinghuan's side. Remember how we always ran around to serve and assist you. Please just save us. I let out a cold, mocking smirk, though my eyes remained completely devoid of warmth. You actually have the nerve to use that word? You serve me? You've clearly mistaken me for that pathetic Muyu. With that, I turned on my heel and walked away, not caring in the slightest how much longer they remained on their knees. The very first thing Shui Qinghuan did the moment she was discharged from the hospital was wheel herself straight over to my villa to find me. I had my security team block her entourage outside the gates, allowing only her to enter. Standing in the middle of the courtyard, Shui Qinghuan sat helplessly in her wheelchair, staring up in sheer dismay at the steep stone steps leading to my front door, gazing awkwardly at the grand steps leading up to the villa's entrance. Qi Huaizhou, leaving me like this, how on earth am I supposed to get up there? I stood right at the doorway, staring down at her with absolute indifference. Shui Qinghuan, what exactly did you come here for today? She put on an incredibly smug, self-entitled expression to discuss the future business collaborations between the Qi Group and the Shui Corporation, of course. Even though things had escalated to this disastrous point, she was still so breathtakingly arrogant, firmly believing that I couldn't possibly survive without her. And yet, she still had the nerve to act like a pampered heiress in front of me. The affection I wasted on her over the past few years would have been better spent on a dog. At the very least, if I feed a dog, it actually knows how to wag its tail at me, rather than baring its fangs and try and tear my throat out. What could the Qi Group possibly gain from collaborating with a failing company like yours? Do you honestly think my family's empire is desperate for your pathetic contracts? My dear Heiress, stop trying to flatter yourself. You didn't actually mistake my past financial charity for a legitimate business partnership, did you? A wave of deep irritation flashed across Shui Qinghuan's face. Qi Huaizhou, what is that supposed to mean? It was literally just a photo shoot with Muyu. Do you really have to blow things so wildly out of proportion and hold on to this petty grudge forever? Fine, whatever. I never realized before just how incredibly narrow-minded and small-hearted you are. Don't you dare look at me with that pathetic cold face. If you keep acting like this, I swear I won't marry you. I was honestly utterly baffled as to how, even now, she genuinely believed I was still dying to marry her. Shui Qinghuan, do you honestly believe that marrying me is some sort of divine blessing? You're throwing my way. You don't actually think you're some high-end mighty empress, do you? Go look in a mirror and get a grip on reality. Did you truly believe I couldn't survive without you in my life? I pointed my finger coldly toward the stone steps in front of her. You only broke your legs. You aren't completely paralyzed. If you want to talk, crawl up these steps. I locked my eyes onto hers. Crawl up here. Drag yourself up like a desperate dog. The moment you manage to crawl up here, then maybe, just maybe, I'll give your family's business a single chance. If not, then get the hell out of my sight. Go back to whatever hole you crawled out of. I pointed directly toward the mansion gates. Later that night, Shui Qinghuan actually prostrated herself flat on the cold ground, desperately dragging her body up into my villa. When I told her to crawl during the day, she arrogantly refused, assuming I was merely bluffing to scare her. She had spat out a few bitter, threatening remarks before wheeling herself away, convinced she still held the power to manipulate me. But she had catastrophically miscalculated. I was completely, utterly done with her. The moment she got home, her father nearly beat her to death. Her mother had to risk her own life to intervene, barely stopping her father's enraged, murderous attempt to purge the family of its greatest curse. Even the wheelchair she sat in was smashed to absolute splinters by her father. You worthless, brainless piece of trash. How on earth did I father such a family ruining? Parasitic failure of a daughter like you. You went and offended the elite Chi family. Now every single one of our partners is watching the Chi family's next move. With just a single, casual word from Chi Huaizhou, our entire family will be buried alive with no one to bury us. Our entire company is on the brink of absolute bankruptcy. Do you still think you're some untouchable Shui family heiress who can look down on the rest of the world? Right now, you are absolute garbage. You are less than nothing. I don't care what pathetic methods you have to use. Even if you have to crawl, you will drag yourself back to the Chi family for me. If he does not grant you his forgiveness today, don't you dare bring your pathetic face back into this house. I don't have a toxic, curse-bringing daughter like you. Only at this exact moment did Shui Qinghuan finally realize that I wasn't just throwing a petty tantrum. This time I was truly, permanently cutting her out of my life. It was early autumn, and a freezing autumn rain had just poured down, making the biting wind feel even more desolate and bleak. Shui Qinghuan lay prostrated on the cold ground outside my villa, sobbing hysterically, screaming my name over and over again through her tears, begging and admitting her faults countless times. Yet, the massive, imposing gates of my villa never once creaked open for her. They remained as stubborn as a tight-lipped soldier, undergoing brutal interrogation, resolutely and completely shut tight. By the next morning, Shui Qinghuan, shivering from being frozen and crying in the bitter cold all night, was finally hauled away by a summoned ambulance. I obviously couldn't let her freeze to death right on my doorstep. That would absolutely ruin my property value. Lili's family was the very first domino to collapse. Lili's ex-boyfriend utilized a near-suicidal business strategy to completely drown the Li family in a mountain of unpayable debt, forcing them to desperately file for bankruptcy protection. Lili's fate was just as pathetic as Shui Qinghuan's. She knelt outside her ex-boyfriend's luxury estate, wailing and begging for an entire day and night, only to be brutally doused with a bucket of dirty dishwater, before she finally slunk away in utterly miserable defeat. Realizing that she could no longer count on me for anything, Shui Qinghuan had no choice but to sign the settlement agreement to drop the charges against Jiang Run, securing her release from the bleak detention center. But Jiang Run was an ungrateful, venomous beast. Even though she knew damn well she was the one in the wrong, she still harbored a deep, psychotic hatred for Shui Qinghuan and Muyu. Meanwhile, the Bai family, who had suffered the least financial damage, was suddenly busted for smuggling massive quantities of illegal goods. During a routine, high-stakes customs inspection, the Bai family enterprise was instantly placed under criminal investigation, and their corporate headquarters was slapped with official government seals. As it turned out, the anonymous whistleblower who ruined them was none other than a close business partner of the Shui Corporation. The former ride-or-die sisters completely turned on each other, becoming sworn enemies. Seeing that their lives were ruined beyond any possible salvation, the three girls concocted a dark plot, inviting Shui Qinghuan and Muyu out to sea on a luxury yacht one last time. There, they ruthlessly pushed the crippled Shui Qinghuan and Muyu straight into the deep, dark ocean. In a psychotic frenzy, Jiang Run even took the helm of the yacht and plowed it directly over the two victims struggling desperately in the waves. The moment the yacht finally docked back on the shore, the Coast Guard immediately swarmed and arrested the three of them. Unbeknownst to them, the yacht was equipped with a high-tech, real-time security surveillance system. The cameras had captured every single second of their horrific crime in brutal, HD detail. Search and rescue teams spent days combing the dark waters where the incident occurred, but they only managed to recover the bloated corpse of Muyu. Grief-stricken and completely devastated by the loss of their only child, the Shui parents poured a massive fortune into hiring elite, professional salvage teams to sweep the ocean floor for their daughter's remains. It wasn't until the third day of the grueling search that they finally dragged up the lifeless body of Shui Qinghuan. The moment they laid eyes on Shui Qinghuan's horrific remains, her father clutched his chest in agony, while her mother let out a blood-curdling shriek before collapsing unconscious. Shui Qinghuan's body was waterlogged and severely bloated from days of soaking in the salty ocean water, her horribly deformed corpse already in the advanced stages of decay. In the end, Jiang Ren, Bai Ling, and Lee were all convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, stripped of their political rights for life, and hit with a massive fine of 1 million RMB. Within the exact same month, the court handed down the final verdict. The remaining two families reached a complete dead end, officially declaring total bankruptcy. Having endured this relentless onslaught of catastrophic tragedies, the Shui family was left completely ruined and buried under a mountain of unpayable debt, his aging body broken by the devastating loss of his only daughter. Her father sold absolutely every single asset he had left, yet it still couldn't even begin to fill that massive financial black hole. Shortly after, both parents completely dropped off the grid, vanishing without a trace. From that day forward, I never crossed paths with them again. At the Chi Group's grand year-end gala, my parents returned from abroad to announce some incredible, monumental news. Our international expansion had achieved absolute, historic success. Stepping up as the official voice and leader of the Chi Group, I stood proudly on the stage as the brilliant spotlight illuminated me. Looking out calmly across the massive, crowded hall, I smiled and began my speech. Those seemingly insurmountable, crushing obstacles from our past have only served to forge us into a far stronger, upgraded version of ourselves. Let those hardships become the guiding beacon that illuminates our path forward into a glorious future. Together, let us join hands to unlock even greater, limitless possibilities